What is up? We are going through the best player props in the NHL for tonight. So we are looking at the Hurricanes-Rangers game, and we are going through the best player prop picks for tonight. So my pick is going to be on PrizePicks. And again, the way that PrizePicks works is it's quite interesting, is any two player props that you include into your PrizePicks entry. You can't just place a PrizePicks entry with one player prop. You need at least two. But regardless of the two you select, if I do Trocheck over 2.5 shots on goal, Cop under 1.5, it's $20 to win 60, right? $20 to win 60, 20 to win 40 a profit because this to win column includes your $20 stake. So you're essentially just getting plus 200 odds. So we've done this in other videos, but essentially for a two player prop pick entry to be mathematically profitable, you have to be winning each player prop in your entry at least 57.74% of the time to break even. Right? So ideally, you're winning each player prop in your PrizePicks entry like 60% of the time, and that would make your entry positive EV. So we are going to be going through the best NHL player props for today. Now, the first player prop I like, which we actually used in yesterday's video as well, it hasn't moved, is Andrew Copp over 1.5 shots on goal. Again, PrizePicks is giving you implied odds of minus 137 for every single pick, right? So if we go to a parlay calculator right here, minus 137 for two legs is essentially plus 200 odds, right? So essentially PrizePicks for every single player prop is giving you an implied price of minus 137. So the first player prop I'm going with is Cop over 1.5 shots on goal. We can see there's pretty insane value in the implied price on PrizePicks, right? Pinnacle Sportsbook, the sharpest sportsbook in the world, right here. They price this all the way down at minus 174, and we are getting an implied price of minus 137 from PrizePicks. So just looking, right, at the odds on actual sportsbooks, this is why it's so valuable to compare PrizePicks to the sportsbooks. You can see PrizePicks is giving you a fantastic price on Cop over 1.5 shots on goal, but it would literally be a disaster to have Cop under 1.5 shots on goal in your PrizePicks entry, right? PrizePicks is giving you an implied price of minus 137, whereas if you go to, a sports book, you are getting plus 130 on DraftKings or plus 130 on Caesars. So you would never want to include Cop under 1.5 shots on goal in your entry. So the first pick we're going to go with is Cop over 1.5 shots on goal. It is a positive EV player prop to include in our PrizePicks entry. So now we just need one more. And what I'm going with for leg number 2 is also in the Rangers-Hurricanes game, is I'm going with Trocheck under 2.5 shots on goal, right? So Pinnacle hasn't posted a market for this, but BetOnline, another very sharp sportsbook, has, and it's kind of in line with the entire market, right? We can actually see there is an arbitrage opportunity between Caesars plus 140 and the implied price we are getting on PrizePicks of minus 137. So we'll actually see it if we go to the OddsJam arbitrage page, right? This isn't actually an ARB you can lock in and make a risk-free profit. So here we have an arbitrage calculator. This isn't like an ARB you can lock in and make a risk-free profit, right? Because again, on PrizePicks, you need at least two player props in your entry. But it shows us, this gives me a sense that, hey, this may be interesting to look at, right? This may be interesting to look at. And here comes up another one as well. We have Corbin Burns under 7.5 strikeouts. So what I'm going to go with for leg number 2, so we can remove this, is Trocheck over or under 2.5 shots on goal, minus 137. And I'm going to use BetOnline right here to back out the implied win probability for our bet. So plus 128, they're giving you on the over, minus 167, they're giving you on the under. We are getting the implied price on PrizePicks of minus 137. So the win probability for this player prop is 58.78%, right? Which we can see right here. So we have Cop over 1.5 shots on goal, Trocheck under 2.5. The implied win probabilities for both, these are pretty uncorrelated picks, even though they're from the same game, right? Even though these are from the same game, these are uncorrelated essentially. So what we're going to go with is we're going to go ahead and lock this in as our first PrizePicks entry for today. So Trocheck, under 2.5 shots on goal. Cop, over 1.5 shots on goal. Both picks were found with the OddsJam software. And now pretty interesting, right? You can see there are also some MLB line discrepancies, right? So here, for Corbin Burns strikeouts, BetOnline sets it at 6.5. The jump between 6.5 to 7.5 in terms of strikeouts is pretty large. So you can see, because FanDuel gives us these alternate markets. So let's go to the Giants game. Well, what game is this? So this is the Padres game. So if we go to the Padres game, what we can see is FanDuel will give you markets, right? It's one of the sports books that gives you alternate strikeouts as well as mainline strikeouts. So you can see there's a pretty massive difference between over 6.5 strikeouts, which is the same as 7+ strikeouts, and 8+ strikeouts, right? The jump between over 6.5 and over 7.5 is pretty massive, right? -140 to +144, because the distribution is, centered around a lower number. And here, FanDuel is in line with BetOnline, right? So PrizePicks is setting the line at 7.5, whereas we can see right here, most sportsbooks, BetOnline and FanDuel, they have the main line set at 6.5. So -137 on Corbin Burns, under 7.5 strikeouts also seems pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in another entry. So we went through the math basically of this first entry. Cop over, Trocheck under, shots on goal, $100. Implied win probability of our player prop entry on PrizePicks, our NHL player prop picks entry on PrizePicks for today. You just multiply these implied win probabilities together. The win probability for our entry is 34.8%. So the EV of our PrizePicks entry is 4.5% roughly. $4 an edge on a $100 stake. So we're actually putting down $250 to win $500. So $11 an edge, or $11 in EV, right? That's the profit margin of our bet quantified in dollars, and a 4.5% profit margin. Now what we can see is this Corbin Burns one I also want to lock in, right? We can see BetOnline in line with FanDuel. In the alternates, there's a huge line discrepancy between PrizePicks and FanDuel. So I want to go ahead to the MLB, and then I want to go to strikeouts, and I want to put another one together. I'm going to go with Corbin Burns under 7.5. So we can see that right here. This I definitely want to roll with. And then I actually want to go with Blake Snell under 6. No, I think I'll skip that. Let's go back here. So what we can do is we can go back here, and we can go back to Trocheck, and we can put together a 3-leg, a 3-legger on PrizePicks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Cop once again. So I want Cop over 1.5 shots on goal, insane implied odds on PrizePicks. So we want to go back to the NHL, and then I want to go to shots on goal, and I want to go to Cop, and I want to go to over for Cop, and then for Trocheck, I want to take the under, right? We're getting a ton of value on the under for Trocheck. So I want to go to Trocheck, and I want to take the under. So Trocheck under 2.5 shots on goal. Cop over 1.5 shots on goal. Corbin Burns under 7.5 strikeouts. Again, this was not on the positive EV page because Pinnacle has yet to post markets for this, but we just see a massive line discrepancy right here, right between PrizePicks and FanDuel, right? A massive line discrepancy. PrizePicks has the line set at 7.5. FanDuel and BetOnline have the line set at 6.5. And we notice this discrepancy because FanDuel posts these alternate strikeout markets, right? So this is pretty insane. So now we're going to have 3 picks in our PrizePicks entry. So we have another one together, and we're putting down $500 to win $2,500 in profit, right? So $500 to win $2,000 of profit. So we're just getting plus 400 odds. So what we can do is we can actually add in Corbin Burns under 7.5 strikeouts. And here we can go back to our no-vig odds calculator. And we can see that, well, this one's a little harder to price because for these alternate markets, FanDuel doesn't let you bet under 8.5. They're only letting you bet the over 1.5. but we can assume every leg is positive EV. So we are going to, so projections have changed since you selected them. So one of these has already moved. Cop, you can see PrizePicks moved this up from over 1.5 shots on goal to over 2. So now we definitely don't want this. So now we're going to have Corbin Burns and Vincent Trocheck for our second entry. Under in Trocheck is still good. Corbin Burns under 7.5 is still good. And I'm going to place this entry. Projections have changed since you bet them. Let's refresh this. So let's go back to NHL, and then we want to go to shots on goal. And I want to go to Trocheck, and you can see they moved it to 2. So I actually just missed this altogether. But anyways, we locked in one very good PrizePicks entry. Again, you got to be fast. You got to be using OddsJam to find the value. Trocheck under 2.5 shots on goal. Cop over 1.5 shots on goal. 250 to win 750, 500 profit. Let's make some frickin' money on the NHL tonight. NHL player props 14.